Ever leave a meeting feeling like your brilliant ideas just vanished? Or worse, that you were talked over, your input sidelined, and the perfect solution you had simmering in your mind never even made it to the whiteboard? It's a frustrating scenario many of us have faced. We go into a meeting with good intentions, solid preparation, and genuine insights, only to emerge feeling as though we barely participated, let alone influenced the outcome. The truth is, meetings aren't just about what you say, but how you say it. And that how often comes down to the precise, impactful language you choose. Today, we're unlocking 50 high impact English phrases that don't just get you heard, they get you agreed with. This isn't about manipulation or aggressive tactics. This is about clarity, confidence, and strategic communication. We're going to explore the linguistic tools that allow you to subtly, yet powerfully, influence decisions, build consensus, and ultimately own the room, not by being the loudest, but by being the most effective communicator. Welcome to the Art of Meeting Mastery, beyond basic etiquette. Forget the boilerplate advice about making eye contact or speaking clearly. Those are table stakes. We're diving deep in the nuanced world of professional English, equipping you with an arsenal of phrases that address common meeting challenges and amplify your professional impact. This multi-part series will break down these phrases into actionable categories, giving you the power to transform how you engage in every professional interaction. Let's be honest, the modern workplace is dynamic, competitive, and often a little chaotic. Meetings are where decisions are made, strategies are forged, and careers can be advanced or stalled. If you're not effectively articulating your value, your ideas, and your leadership potential in these crucial moments, you're missing a significant opportunity. This isn't just about surviving meetings, it's about thriving in them. It's about ensuring your voice carries weight, your contributions are recognized, and your perspective actively shapes the path forward. Our journey begins with foundational strategies. We'll learn how to lay the groundwork for your ideas, how to assert your presence respectfully, and how to introduce concepts in a way that invites reception rather than resistance. Think of these as the opening moves in a strategic game. They set the tone, establish your credibility, and prepare the ground for your arguments to take root. By mastering these initial phrases, you'll prevent your ideas from being dismissed out of hand and ensure they receive the thoughtful consideration they deserve. Many people struggle not with the quality of their ideas, but with the delivery. They might hesitate, use weak qualifiers, or fail to frame their suggestions in a compelling way. This often leads to their input being overlooked, or worse, someone else presenting a similar idea later and getting all the credit. We're going to fix that. We'll provide you with frameworks that empower you to step in, speak up, and present your thoughts with the authority and conviction they warrant. So, let's dive into our first set of high-impact phrases designed for making your initial contributions count. These are for when you're ready to introduce an idea, offer a perspective, or initiate a discussion on a new point. The goal here is clarity, confidence, and conciseness. We want to avoid rambling, minimize hedging, and instead directly present your thought in a way that prompts engagement and thoughtful consideration from others. The first category we'll tackle is introducing ideas and perspectives. This is often the make or break moment. If your introduction is weak, vague, or apologetic, your idea might never gain traction. We want to ensure your entry into the discussion is strong, clear, and demonstrates your conviction. Here's our first powerful phrase. 1. I'd like to introduce an alternative perspective on this. Why is this phrase effective? It signals that you're about to. You could jump in with, I've been giving some thought to how we might approach this. I propose we prioritize X, Y, and Z steps, given our current resources and timeline. This phrasing immediately establishes you as someone who has not only thought about the problem, but has also formulated a concrete, actionable solution. It signals leadership and a readiness to move forward, inviting constructive discussion rather than vague speculation. This brings us to a fundamental concept we'll explore throughout this series: the hidden power of precise language in professional settings. We often focus on what we say, the content of our ideas, the data points, the market analysis. And that's certainly important, but just as crucial, and often overlooked, is how we say it. The specific words and sentence structures we choose can dramatically alter how our message is received, whether it's dismissed as a passing thought or embraced as a well reasoned proposal. In the corporate world, in meetings, presentations, and even casual hallway conversations, there's a common desire to sound smart. People use jargon, complex sentences, or abstract concepts hoping to convey intelligence. But sounding smart isn't enough. In fact, sometimes it can be counterproductive if it makes your ideas less accessible or appears to be a smokescreen for a lack of genuine substance. True influence, the kind that gets your ideas adopted, your projects approved, and your vision implemented, requires strategic phrasing. It's about clarity, conviction, and connection. Think about it. Have you ever been in a meeting where two people presented essentially the same idea, but one person's suggestion was met with enthusiasm and action, while the others faded into the background? It's rarely about who had the better idea in an objective sense. More often, it's about how that idea was framed, articulated, and presented. Was it tentative or confident, vague or specific, loaded with caveats or presented with conviction? Did it invite collaboration or did it sound like a decree? The distinctions might seem subtle, but their impact is profound. We're talking about the difference between being perceived as hesitant versus decisive, as thoughtful versus indecisive, as a team player versus an individual operating in a vacuum. These perceptions are built word by word, phrase by phrase. This video series isn't about memorizing a script. It's about understanding the underlying psychology and strategic intent behind certain language patterns. It's about developing an ear for effective communication and learning to select your words with purpose, not just habit. We'll peel back the layers of everyday professional dialogue to reveal the power dynamics at play and how you can consciously leverage language to your advantage. From here on, whenever you attend a meeting, listen not just to what people are saying, but how they're saying it. Notice the leaders in the room, not just by title, but by the way they communicate. Do they speak in absolutes or probabilities? Do they ask open-ended questions or make declarative statements? Do they invite discussion or shut it down? Pay attention to the subtle cues, because those are the lessons we'll be dissecting and replicating. This series is designed to elevate your meeting game from passive observation to active persuasion. We're going to transform you from someone who simply attends meetings into someone who shapes their outcomes. We'll empower you to move beyond merely sharing information to truly influencing decisions, fostering collaboration, and driving results. You'll learn to articulate your thoughts with precision, present your ideas with confidence, and navigate complex discussions with strategic finesse. Our goal is not to turn you into a verbose orator, but rather a concise and impactful communicator. Less is often more in professional settings, provided those fewer words are chosen with extreme care and intent. We'll equip you with tools to cut through the noise, bypass ambiguity, and land your points with may. So let's dive deeper into the world of strategic language and start building your arsenal of influential phrases, beginning with the next powerful example. When you're in a meeting, a discussion, or any collaborative environment, you'll frequently find yourself in situations where you agree with what someone else has said. While a simple, "I agree" is fine, a strategically crafted agreement phrase does so much more. It signals active listening, reinforces a valuable point, and subtly aligns you with the speaker, building rapport and consensus. Consider this scenario. A colleague, let's call her Sarah, just made an excellent point about the need for more client feedback in the next project phase. Instead of just nodding along, you could say, "I echo Sarah's point on the critical importance of integrating client feedback earlier in the development cycle. My own experience suggests that proactive engagement here can drastically reduce revisions later on." Breaking this down, "I echo X's point on" is a powerful opening. It shows you're paying attention, not just to the general discussion, but to specific contributions. By adding the critical importance of integrating client feedback earlier in the development cycle, you're not just repeating Sarah, you're rephrasing and reinforcing her idea with slightly different, perhaps even stronger, language. This demonstrates understanding and adds weight to her original statement. Furthermore, by following up with my own experience suggests that proactive engagement here can drastically reduce revisions later on. You build upon her point with your own supporting evidence or insight. This transforms a simple agreement into a collaborative expansion of an idea. You're not just confirming, you're contributing. This strengthens the argument, elevates the discussion, and positions you as a thoughtful contributor who can synthesize and build upon others' ideas. Let's look at another example. Imagine David suggests a new software tool to streamline data analysis. You could respond with, I completely align with David's recommendation for exploring new data analysis tools. The efficiency gains he highlighted are exactly what we need to meet our upcoming deadlines effectively. Here, I completely align with X's recommendation for signals strong agreement. You then validate his reasoning by referring to the specific benefit he highlighted, the efficiency gains he highlighted, and connect it directly to a shared goal, exactly what we need to meet our upcoming deadlines effectively. This kind of agreement isn't just polite, it's pragmatic. It helps build a collective momentum towards adopting David's proposal. These phrases are about building consensus, but they do so much more than just ticking a box. They elevate the conversation, reinforce valid points, and subtly position you as a team player who can articulate and support well-reasoned arguments. They contribute to a positive and productive group dynamic where good ideas are recognized and amplified. But what happens when you don't agree? Disagreement is a natural and often necessary part of productive discussion. However, how you express that disagreement can make all the difference between a constructive challenge and an unproductive conflict. The goal is to challenge the idea, not the person, and to do so in a way that opens up dialogue rather than shutting it down. A highly effective phrase for constructive disagreement is, while I appreciate X's perspective, I'm concerned about. This structure allows you to acknowledge the other person's contribution respectfully, demonstrating that you've listened and considered their viewpoint before introducing your reservations. Let's take that earlier example with Sarah and client feedback. Suppose you actually have concerns about gathering feedback too early. Perhaps it might overwhelm the design team with conflicting opinions before the core concept is even solidified. You could say, while I appreciate Sarah's perspective on integrating client feedback, I'm concerned that Now, let's graduate to some advanced influence tactics, guiding decisions and gaining buy-in. This is where subtle language becomes a powerful tool, allowing you to shape outcomes without appearing to dominate the conversation. We'll explore phrases that help you propose and structure ideas effectively, and then look at how to subtly steer a discussion towards your desired outcome, particularly when addressing concerns or objections. Let's begin with phrases for proposing and structuring ideas. When you have a solution or a new approach in mind, simply stating it might not be enough to gain traction. People need to understand the why and the how. Structuring your proposal clearly and concisely, while also linking it to shared goals, significantly increases its chances of adoption. Consider these examples. To streamline our approach, I propose we implement a tiered approval process, which would not only reduce bottlenecks, but also improve accountability. This phrase does several things effectively. First, it clearly states the objective, to streamline our approach. This immediately frames the proposal as beneficial and aligns it with a common organizational goal, efficiency. Second, it presents the core idea, a tiered approval process. This is direct and unambiguous. Third, and crucially, it highlights the benefits, reduce bottlenecks, and improve accountability. By connecting the proposed action directly to positive outcomes, you make a compelling case for its adoption. It's not just an idea, it's a solution with tangible advantages. Let's look at another one. My suggestion for tackling this challenge is to form a cross-functional task force. This would leverage diverse perspectives and accelerate problem solving. Here, the phrase, my suggestion for tackling this challenge, immediately positions your idea as a direct response to a recognized problem. It shows you're engaged and contributing proactively. The proposed action, form a cross-functional task force, is clear. And again, the benefits are articulated, leverage diverse perspectives, and accelerate problem solving. These benefits speak to common organizational desires, collaboration and efficiency, making the idea more palatable and appealing to a broader audience. And a third example, I'd like to put forward the idea of piloting a new communication platform. The aim is to enhance internal collaboration and ensure everyone is on the same page. The opening, I'd like to put forward the idea of, is a gentle yet firm way to introduce a new concept. It invites consideration rather than demanding acceptance. The specific proposal, piloting a new communication platform, is clear and implies a testing phase, which can reduce perceived risk. The stated aims, enhance internal collaboration and ensure everyone is on the same page, are compelling and resonate with the need for effective information flow within any organization. What these phrases have in common is their ability to present an idea, explain its purpose, and articulate its benefits, all within a concise and persuasive framework. They move beyond simply stating, let's do X, to explaining, let's do X because it will achieve Y and Z. This comprehensive approach addresses potential questions preemptively and builds a stronger case for your proposal. When you use these phrases, you're not just throwing an idea onto the table, you're offering a well thought out solution, complete with rationale. This builds your credibility as a thoughtful contributor and makes your proposals more likely to be seriously considered and ultimately adopted. Now, let's explore phrases for subtly steering the conversation. This is a more advanced technique that requires careful listening and an understanding of the underlying dynamics of a discussion. The goal isn't to manipulate, but to guide the group towards a more productive path, or to ensure that legitimate concerns are addressed constructively, often in a way that aligns with your desired outcome. Imagine a situation where a colleague, now, let's explore phrases designed for asserting your point without coming across as aggressive or overly dominant. These are crucial for maintaining collaborative relationships while still effectively advocating for your ideas. Consider a situation where you feel strongly about a particular direction or conclusion, but you want to present it in a way that invites discussion rather than shuts it down. A useful phrase here is, my key takeaway from this discussion is that we must prioritize specific action factor to achieve desired outcome. This phrase works because it frames your assertion as a personal understanding or conclusion drawn from the collective discussion, making it less confrontational than a direct command or definitive statement. By saying my key takeaway, you are presenting your strong belief as an insight you've gained, which encourages others to consider it respectfully. The we must prioritize part, while strong, is softened by the preceding context, transforming it into a shared necessity rather than a personal decree. Let's break down why this is effective. First, it acknowledges the prior discussion, demonstrating that you've been listening and processing the information. This shows respect for everyone's contributions. Second, my key takeaway positions your statement as a synthesis of the shared understanding, not just a personal opinion. This makes your point more likely to resonate with others who are part of the same conversation. Third, by linking the priority to a desired outcome, you connect your point to shared goals, making it objective and purpose-driven rather than subjective or self-serving. For instance, imagine a meeting where various strategies for a new product launch have been discussed. You could say, my key takeaway from today's brainstorming is that we must prioritize market research to ensure our messaging resonates deeply with our target audience. Here, you're not dismissing other ideas, but you are firmly asserting the critical importance of market research based on the collective discussions, linking it directly to the success of the launch. It's a statement of conviction presented as a shared insight. Another valuable phrase in this category is, I'm convinced that by focusing on specific area, we will see the most significant impact on measurable result. This statement is powerful because it conveys conviction without being dogmatic. The phrase I'm convinced suggests that your opinion is well researched or thoughtfully considered, but it leaves room for others to present counter-arguments or additional perspectives. You're not saying, this is the only way, but rather, based on my understanding, this path offers the greatest potential. The efficacy of this phrase lies in its clarity and its focus on impact and measurable results. By specifying focusing on specific area, you provide a tangible action point. By connecting it to most significant impact on measurable result, you ground your assertion in objective outcomes, making it appealing to result oriented teams. For example, in a meeting about improving customer satisfaction, you might say, I'm convinced that by focusing on streamlining our post purchase support process, we will see the most significant impact on customer retention rates. This isn't an aggressive demand. It's a well reasoned assertion that attributes a concrete action to a crucial, measurable business outcome. It invites further discussion on how to streamline the process, rather than if it should be a priority. These phrases allow you to assert your perspective with confidence and clarity, while simultaneously fostering an environment of open communication and collaboration. They help you lead discussions towards a desired outcome without alienating your colleagues or appearing inflexible. Now, let's transition to phrases for securing commitment and action items. This is where you move from discussion and assertion to actionable steps and accountability. These phrases are critical for moving forward and low. Now, let's explore how to navigate one of the most challenging aspects of communication: difficult questions and objections. These are the moments when your ability to respond thoughtfully and strategically can truly elevate your impact and influence. We've all been there, presenting an idea, a solution, or a plan, only to be met with skepticism, a tough question that seems to undermine your entire premise, or an objection that throws a wrench into your carefully constructed argument. The key to handling these situations gracefully and effectively is to view them not as attacks, but as opportunities. Opportunities to demonstrate your expertise, to deepen understanding, to refine your ideas, and ultimately to build trust and strengthen relationships. Let's dissect a powerful framework for addressing difficult questions and objections. That's a valid point, and to address it, we could. This phrase is a masterclass in empathetic yet confident communication. Let's break down why it works so well. First, the opening segment. That's a valid point. This is crucial. It immediately disarms potential conflict. By acknowledging the other person's perspective, even if you disagree with it or see a different angle, you validate their intelligence and their contribution. You're saying, I hear you and I respect your thought process. This prevents the conversation from devolving into a defensive standoff. It shows you're receptive, open-minded, and willing to consider other viewpoints. This affirmation creates a safe space for further discussion, rather than shutting it down. Secondly, you're not necessarily agreeing with the implication of their point, nor are you conceding defeat. You're simply validating the point itself as being worthy of consideration. There's a subtle but significant difference. For example, if someone says, but won't this new process cause significant delays? You might respond, that's a valid point about potential delays. You haven't said it will cause delays, but you've acknowledged their concern as legitimate. Next, we move to the constructive part, and to address it, we could. This pivots the conversation from a potential roadblock to a collaborative problem-solving exercise. Instead of getting defensive or dismissing the objection, you immediately offer a proactive solution or a path forward. You're demonstrating your ability to think on your feet, to anticipate challenges, and to devise strategies. The use of "we could" is also important. It's collaborative and inclusive. It invites the other person into the solution-finding process, rather than asserting your own answer in an authoritarian way. It suggests options, rather than dictating a single course of action. This fosters a sense of shared ownership and reduces resistance. Let's consider some scenarios. Imagine you're proposing a new software implementation, and a team member raises a concern. This looks good, but I'm worried about the learning curve for our older staff. A weak response might be, they'll just have to learn it, or it'll be fine. These responses are dismissive and unhelpful. A better response using our framework would be, that's a valid point regarding the learning curve for our experienced team members. And to address it, we could implement a phased rollout with dedicated training sessions, personalized support, and create a comprehensive user guide tailored to their needs. Notice how this response directly tackles the concern, offers tangible solutions, and uses the collaborative "we could." It transforms a potential negative into an opportunity to showcase a robust, well-thought-out plan. Another example, You're suggesting a new marketing campaign, and a manager interjects, "This seems expensive. How can we justify the budget?" Instead of getting defensive about costs, you might say, "That's a valid point about the investment required for this campaign. And to address it, we could look at the projected ROI based on similar successful campaigns, explore a staggered investment model, or consider an example." Instead of just saying, "We need more budget for marketing," you could say, "By allocating an additional X dollars to our targeted digital ad campaign, we project a Y% increase in lead generation within Q3, directly impacting our Q4 revenue targets by Z%. This investment provides a clear return on capital by accelerating our market penetration in key segments." See how that transforms a simple request into a strategic initiative? It's specific, quantifiable, and demonstrates a clear path to value creation. Now let's shift our focus slightly. We've gone through a comprehensive collection of phrases designed to empower your communication, to make you a more impactful and influential participant in any meeting. From strategic planning to problem solving, from fostering collaboration to navigating conflict, these phrases are your toolkit. They're not just words, they're frameworks for thought, pathways to better engagement, and levers for leadership. We've explored how to initiate with precision, how to contribute with insight, how to challenge constructively, and how to conclude with clarity. We've looked at phrases that open doors for discussion, phrases that distill complex ideas, and phrases that build consensus. The power of these 50 phrases isn't just in knowing them, but in actively using them to shape your interactions and ultimately your career trajectory. You've learned how to move beyond simply agreeing or disagreeing. You now have the linguistic tools to articulate why you agree and how your disagreement can lead to a stronger solution. You can now guide conversations, redirect unproductive tangents, and ensure that every minute of a meeting is spent productively. But here's the critical part: knowledge is not enough. Understanding these phrases intellectually is a great start, but true mastery comes from active application. Think of it like learning a new language. You can study grammar rules and vocabulary all day, but you won't become fluent until you start speaking, making mistakes, and then correcting them. The same principle applies here. Your future, as a participant in any professional setting, can transform from passive observation to active meeting architecture. You will shift from someone who reacts to the conversation to someone who subtly, yet powerfully, shapes its direction and outcomes. This isn't about dominating the discussion. It's about elevating it. It's about ensuring that every meeting you attend or lead serves its purpose effectively and efficiently. So, how do you move from having these phrases in your notes to having them at your fingertips, ready for spontaneous use? It requires practice, deliberate effort, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. Let's break down some practical tips for integrating these powerful phrases into your daily interactions, starting today. Firstly, start small and be intentional. Don't try to implement all 50 phrases at once. That's overwhelming and unrealistic. Instead, pick one or two phrases from a category that resonates most with your current communication challenges. For instance, if you often find yourself struggling to interject effectively, focus on phrases like, "If I could just jump in here for a moment," or expanding on colleagues' point, "I'd add that." If you frequently leave meetings feeling unclear about next steps, target phrases such as, "To ensure we're all aligned, my understanding of our key takeaways is," or "Before we close, let's summarize definite action items and owners." Choose a specific meeting or interaction where you intend to use your chosen phrase. Visualize yourself saying it. Rehearse it in your mind. The more you prime yourself, the more likely you are to use it when the moment arises. Secondly, build a phrase bank for different scenarios. Categorize the phrases by their function. You could have sections for initiating discussion, seeking clarification, presenting a counter-argument, building consensus, and concluding effectively. Seventh, and this is crucial, seek feedback. After a meeting, ask a trusted colleague or even your manager for their honest observations. What did they notice? Was your contribution clear? Did you seem confident? Did your points land effectively? Constructive criticism is a golden opportunity for growth. It highlights blind spots you might not be aware of and offers direct paths to improvement. Don't shy away from it, actively pursue it. Think of it less as a judgment and more as a personalized coaching session. The more specific the feedback, the better you can pinpoint areas for development. Eighth, prepare your follow up. Your influence doesn't end when the meeting does. Consider what actions need to be taken based on the discussion, who is responsible, and by when. Volunteering to summarize key decisions or circulate action items can further solidify your presence and demonstrate leadership. This isn't just about being helpful, it's about actively driving the project forward and ensuring momentum isn't lost. It also keeps you at the forefront of the team's mind as someone who takes initiative and follows through. Ninth, and this ties into the previous point, be a proactive communicator, not just a reactor. Don't wait for others to ask you questions or assign you tasks. Anticipate needs, identify potential issues, and offer solutions before they become problems. This demonstrates foresight and a deep understanding of the project, elevating you from a participant to an indispensable contributor. Proactive communication signals that you are engaged, invested, and thinking several steps ahead. 10th, and this is perhaps the most encompassing point, understand the strategic context. Before, during, and after the meeting, always ask yourself, how does this discussion or decision fit into the larger organizational goals? What are the implications for other departments or long-term projects? When you can articulate these connections, your contributions become far more impactful and demonstrate a higher level of strategic thinking. Moving beyond the immediate agenda to grasp the broader significance elevates your standing and shows you're not just executing tasks, but also contributing to the big picture. Let's shift our focus to empowerment. Why is it so important to intentionally empower yourself to be a driving force in meetings? Because meetings are more than just information exchanges. They are decision-making hubs, innovation incubators, and relationship builders. To be a spectator in these critical environments is to cede control, miss opportunities, and potentially hinder your own professional growth. When you empower yourself, you actively shape the agenda, influence outcomes, and drive progress. You move from being a passive recipient of information to an active shaper of strategy. This shift fundamentally alters how your colleagues and superiors perceive you. You become a go-to person, a thought leader, someone whose input is highly valued. Empowerment in meetings also correlates directly with professional satisfaction and career advancement. Think about it. Who gets noticed? Who gets promoted? It's rarely the quiet observer in the corner. It's the individual who consistently contributes, challenges assumptions constructively, and brings clarity and direction to discussions. By taking the reins, even in small ways, you are actively building your professional reputation and expanding your sphere of influence. Furthermore, empowered participation fosters a sense of ownership over projects and decisions. When you've been integral to the discussion and planning, you're more invested in the successful execution of those plans. This heightened sense of ownership not only benefits your personal motivation, but also translates into better project outcomes for your team and organization. It transforms your role from just doing your job to actively steering the ship. Now let's address some common hurdles people face when trying to become a driving force in meetings and how to overcome them. Embracing continuous learning and development is another pillar of professional growth. The world of work is constantly evolving, with new technologies, methodologies, and challenges emerging at a rapid pace. To remain relevant and valuable, professionals must commit to lifelong learning. This isn't just about formal training courses, though those are certainly beneficial. It includes reading industry publications, attending webinars, participating in professional communities, experimenting with new tools, and seeking out stretch assignments that push you beyond your comfort zone. Think of it as maintaining your professional fitness. Just as an athlete trains regularly to stay in top form, a professional needs to continuously update their knowledge and skills. This might involve dedicating a few hours each week to learning a new software, exploring a different framework, or diving deeper into a specific domain. The learning doesn't always have to be directly tied to your current role. Sometimes exploring tangential areas can spark innovative ideas or lead to unexpected career paths. For example, a marketing professional learning about data analytics might develop more targeted and effective campaigns, or an engineer exploring design thinking might create more user friendly products. Beyond formal skills, reflecting on your performance and seeking feedback is crucial for development. Self reflection allows you to identify areas where you excel and where you can improve. What went well on your last project? What could have been handled differently? What did you learn? Combine this introspection with solicited feedback, not just from your manager, but from peers, direct reports if you have them, and even clients. Constructive criticism, when received with an open mind, is an invaluable tool for growth. It provides external perspectives that you might not perceive yourself, helping you to refine your approach, communication style, and overall effectiveness. Remember, feedback is a gift, offering insights intended to help you become better. Now, let's bring all of these concepts together with a final piece of advice that underpins all successful professional journeys: cultivating a strong professional brand and network. Your professional brand is the unique combination of skills, experience, and personality that you want to be known for. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. A strong brand isn't about being famous, it's about being recognizable and trustworthy within your professional sphere. What are your core values? What unique value do you bring? How do you want to be perceived? Intentionally shaping this brand involves consistent behavior, quality work, and effective communication of your strengths. Complementing your brand is your professional network. Networking isn't just about collecting business cards at events. It's about building genuine relationships with colleagues, mentors, industry peers, and thought leaders. These relationships can provide support, open doors to new opportunities, offer diverse perspectives, and serve as a sounding board for ideas. Attend industry events, participate in online forums, connect authentically on platforms like LinkedIn, and offer help to others when you can. A strong network is a diverse ecosystem that fuels your growth and contributes to your resilience in the face of change. It provides opportunities for mentorship, collaboration, and learning beyond your immediate team or organization. So, as we conclude this exploration of professional growth, remember that your career is a dynamic, ongoing project. It's not a destination, but a journey filled with continuous learning, adaptation, and self discovery. By actively managing your career, developing essential skills, contributing meaningfully, embracing continuous learning, reflecting on your performance, and cultivating a strong brand and network, you are not just reacting to your professional environment, you are actively shaping it. The path to professional excellence is unique for everyone, but T,